for a first game. It was good that we got to play on the road. It was good that we got to play against a really tough opponent, and it was good that we got to go through some stuff. And I asked the question of like, it was good for us, but would it have been good for us if we didn't win? And so we just have to have a level of like, regardless of the result, are we getting better? Are there things that we're doing well? And where can we grow as a team? And so we showed some really good things for this early in the year, and we just got to continue to get better.
How do you answer that question?
What do you mean?
Do you think it would have been good for you if you lost?
Could you take the good from situations, whether you won or lost? And so I thought that's important, right? Like the result matters, but also the process and the mindset towards what we did well matters. And so there was a lot of good stuff that we did that we fixed, and there's some stuff that we can work on. And so just maintaining that balance of understanding where we're at, where we can get better regardless of the result.
So you talked going into the game about out-shooting the opponent, forcing the turnovers. You weren't able to do that in that first game. First of all, why didn't you guys get there, and what do you do to change it?
I don't know if you can necessarily change that. We had 27 deflections and 11 block shots, so we were very active in our defense. I think it more comes from we shot 49% from the field, and they shot 37, so they had more chances. And then they had 17 offensive rebounds, and we had 7. And so each game is going to look different from what that formula is on trying to do it. You're not going to be able to do it every game, and you're not going to be able to you can't control turning over a team, but you control your effort and your activity. And I thought our effort and our activity were really, really good, and our two-point field goal percentage was really good. And so we have to keep them off the glass, and then we got to find some opportunities to get more offensive rebounds. And then the turnover differential was 13 to 11. And so that's the key about those things, is like you're not going to be able to, you can't just control turning someone over. But you control your effort and activity, and I thought we had that.
Do you think some of last night and why it was close was shooting variance? Can you chalked up to that?
I don't know. They shot 44% from three. I'm not sure that's something that they'll do the entire season. But I'm sure, they made some timely threes, and I thought we missed some. Like at the end of the quarter, Sam and Peyton missed 2 really wide open ones. Al missed a wide open one, where if those go in, maybe it's a different beginning of the fourth quarter. But I think one thing you learn through the variance, like can you play like physical effort basketball, and can you execute down the stretch? And I thought those were the 2 positives that we took from last night.
How did you like the physicality from game 1?
Great. I thought it was great. I thought we were really physical without fouling. For us to not be in the bonus with 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter showed that we had a level of physicality to us. Now, physicality looks different during the possession. There was like physical one-on-one defense and physical activity, but they had 17 offensive rebounds. So we just got to continue to work on that. And some of those it's a little skewed because I think Randall had 4 on 1 possession and controlled tips count, so Mitchell Robinson had 1. But at the end of the day, we can't get out-rebounded by 10 on the offensive glass.
Randall's a really strong guy. What convinced you to put Drew on that matchup, and what did you see out of him and how he was able to limit Randall?
Drew's a really strong guy. That's where it started. But just, we have like 4 or 5 guys that can play different kind of coverages, and I think that's where we get into what curveballs can we have throughout the year. Can we, be more creative in our matchups? Can we do different things with different types of defenders? And I thought Drew started the game off well physical with them. And I thought, like, down the line, Jalen, Jason, Al, Porzingis showed physicality on their individual matchups. And so as long as we maintain a level of physicality defensively, we'll be able to do different stuff.
With Chris stopped screening and flaring for a couple of threes in the fourth quarter, felt like just a glimpse into one of the ways that he can impact your crunch time offense. What do you think he'll do for your late game execution?
I think that's the key, right? That's something that we really are hoping he can help us with. And so just creating 2-on-1s in different ways, whether it's a pick and pop or whether it's them having to change the matchup so we can post, we can get some offensive rebounds. So really looking to take advantage of that.
And then when it comes to just trying to balance and manage, like when you let them try to create on their own and play out of a dry spell versus calling a play to help them out, how do you go about that process and feeling it out?
Just kind of trusting the guys. Like I think we did a great job of making some poised sets and decisions during the game, and we did some situations where we didn't. And I think that just kind of comes with it. And for game 1, I liked our approach and the poise that we had, knowing it's not going to be perfect. 30 games from now, if we do some of the things that were less poised, then I think we got to work on that. So just kind of like where the guys are going at as far as how to navigate the offense. And Derek and Drew play a part in that because they're 2 guys that can see the floor. They can get the ball where it needs to get to.
Is physicality one of the questions you've had about this team going into the season, and how do matchups against the Knicks and Arayon kind of provide tests about it?
It wasn't a defensive physicality, it was an offensive physicality. We've always been a high-level defensive physical team since I've been here. We've been inconsistent in our physicality on offense, fighting for our space, screening versus different coverages, getting offensive rebounds, drawing fouls in the fourth quarter. Like, those are the things that we got to be more consistent at. And so physicality is a broad term, many different forms of it. The one we really want to maintain is our physical defense, individual defense, rebounding, and offensively it's like fighting for your space, screening versus the proper coverage, owning your space, getting to the free throw line, making tough baskets.
Joe, there were a few times Drew and Derek would help on a pick and roll so Kristaps could stay in the block. How much of that is you coaching them so versus you giving them the freedom to kind of move?
Yeah, I think we have a framework for what we want to do, and at the same time, we have such really high-level guys, you've got to be able to use their instincts. And so, I think as the league trends, there's no one way to guard a defensive possession, and every defensive possession creates a new opportunity, a new solution. And so as long as we maintain our effort and our communication, the scheme can change. And I think our guys are really buying into that ownership and that freedom. Just got to play hard and do it together. Not maybe you guys in particular, but the media in general picks and chooses when we want to ask about certain things that are going on in our society. And there shouldn't be, we should always have to talk about when something's going wrong in the world today. And for us, same thing as Israel-Palestine situation. The Maine situation is very important. And we have to talk about those things. And so I was really hoping someone would ask that. But I've spent time in Portland, Maine. It's 37 miles from where it's at. And when you see people go through difficult situations that they didn't ask for, it's really painful. It's really hard. And so we have a really important job in society to really try to make the world a better place. It's getting really hard, but we can't be discouraged in that. And just praying for all the people that are there, and we got to get through that. We have to help them get through that.
What was kind of your initial reaction when you first heard about that?
The initial reaction was one, there's people that are hurt by this and they didn't ask for it. And imagine how hard it would be if my wife or children were in that situation. And the second one is, it's easy to 2 weeks ago to look at a situation that's really far from us and say, we don't do that. And then something like this happens. And so it's humbling because whether it's domestic or abroad, there are people who are making tough decisions. There are people who are doing things that aren't what's best for humanity. And it's regardless of if it's in America or not, how do we work through that, as humans? I think that's the question that we have to work to answer.
Would you like us to ask you about these events going?
Yeah, I would. And I think, I may not have an answer to all of them, but I am keen to what's going on. And I think it's a different conversation for us to have together. And I'd like to be more than just basketball. I'm not saying I'm going to be a spokesperson for everything, but I think it's important to at least acknowledge the stuff that's going on because we do have a platform. And especially coming out of the bubble year where you saw the impact that the NBA had, you saw the impact that the players had, that the coaches had. And I was still young in the league and I didn't really understand the impact that you can have. And so watching the players, especially our guys, stand up for that and go through that, and you see the coaches do it, it was hey, you got a bigger platform here. And so we just got to try our hardest to help with that the best we can.
A lot of people will say they come to this as an escape from the reality. What's your response to when you hear that?
I'm sure it's different for everybody, and I think sometimes this needs to be an escape. But I also say that, if it happens to you, then you can't escape. And can we create a level of empathy, of understanding of, this is a world where something like that could happen. And so, yes, we want to create an environment to where we feel that psychological safety, but we can't lose sight and be numb to the fact that, once we step out of this building, we're no longer protected by that. And so how do we navigate it in a way like that,
A lot of people turn to public officials in this instance and complain about things that are taking place. Do you feel like a lot of the efforts need to be more kind of from the ground up, where society speaks out and pushes change as opposed to waiting for change?
That's where we get into, I'm not one. At the end of the day, there's never one way to fix a problem. So, pointing the finger and doing it, there's never one way. And so, to me, it's more about, what am I doing as an individual to get better? I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, but can the way we treat other people, can that just be contagious? It's I don't have the power to do some of the stuff that might need for change, but I think change comes from many, many different layers. And each person has a role in their change. And I feel for me personally, that's just how I treat people on an individual basis. basis. Not that I'm perfect, but try to be respectful, and can you just pass that forward? And then, like, everybody has a role in society of trying to do what they do. And, if we could just do that and keep other people in mind, I think that will go a long way. But there's multiple layers to that. You know what I mean? There's never a right or wrong way to do it. But yeah. Thank you.